A stunning admission this evening from one high-ranking policeman about methods used when approaching people who are poor or who wear certain clothing. Amidst that view is an appeal from the Minister of National Security for young men to turn their back on parts of dancehall. We have more in this report from TVJ's Dwayne Anderson.
Head of the Police's Area 5 Assistant Commissioner Gary Griffiths at a recent meeting with residents in St. Andrew gave an insight into police work. And it turns out, if you are poor or dressed a certain way, there's a greater chance you will have a run-in with the law. He made the comment as he urged residents to call the police once they see strange people in their communities.
We don't present ourselves as God, so we profile people. And some of you sitting here the minute we profile the man with the pants down here, because we have to start from somewhere. We are targeting ghetto youth, we are poor people, and most of the people who commit crime in Jamaica, most if not all the people who commit the heinous crime in Jamaica are the poor people. It sounds bad, but when you go to myself and people who are convicted in court are the ones who are said to be poor. So they need to be profiled.
His explanation, while drawing the applause of those in attendance, is likely to have left some observers deeply troubled. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang, who also spoke at the community meeting, took aim at dancehall. He wants Jamaicans to turn their backs on certain types of dancehall songs. He reasoned that the type of music some young men listen to is contributing to their bad behavior.
Dancehall is great Jamaican art, but it doesn't have to be abusive. Jamaican music is great, it speaks worldwide. It doesn't have to be abusive. You don't justify that because you're with DJ or because you dance or well, then you have to have a truckload of girls. As a country, we have to begin to, and especially our young men.
And speaking of music, one popular dancehall song warns of who you share a marijuana spliff with. Area 5 Commander ACP Griffiths is echoing this warning. For him, being too friendly to get a free smoke can cost you or your neighbors their lives.
This man is in my community, I don't know him. And all he needs to do, and you know it better than me, he's on the corner and a friend comes up to him. Boy, I'm going to take a jar and then give the man from the community a split. Tomorrow he does the same thing and give his exchange, a split exchange. All of a sudden, when the police come, where's that man? I'm a virgin boss. Good. And he stays in the community and becomes a nuisance.
Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
For the first time since his appointment, Commissioner of Police has faced the press. Major General Anthony Anderson defended some of the reform initiatives currently underway at the Jamaica Constabulary Force, among them the disbanding of the Mobile Reserve. More in this report.
A police force under scrutiny, more so in recent times as Jamaicans clamor for the constabulary to be revamped. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson is 1 year in.
Planning, research and development, public safety and traffic enforcement, technology, specialized operations, inspectorate and professional standards portfolio. These are the main areas that we have dealt with thus far. All of them are either done or are in progress.
Not only tasked with bringing crime and violence figures down, the police commissioner is also seeking to change how the JCF operates. He outlined some of the organizational weaknesses.
Some of our administrative systems, our ability to support and sustain our activities through our corporate and logistics support services, our infrastructure and equipment, our accountability mechanisms, and our training.
So what has been done?
The first one we did was combine two divisions to create the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement branch. We did a redesign of Planning, Research and Development branch to expand their capabilities to manage the sort of technology and development that we're doing. We've taken a part of what used to be our computer center and a part of telecoms, put them together to make the technology branch.
But perhaps one of the more controversial decisions is the disbanding of a mobile reserve. The commissioner outlined what's next.
We'll be using the same space. There's a lot of work to be done there. There's a lot of repairs and refurbishing that needs to be done there. We also have to look at all of the skill sets that need to be in our specialized operations, whether we need to bring in, EOD sort of bomb disposal there as opposed to where it is, how we use K9 and bring in K9, how well our specialized operations work with military specialized operations to deal with things like counterterrorism, etc. So there's a whole range of things that needs to be done with respect to specialized operations in the constabulary force.
Their integrity filings also came in for rebuke. More in this report.
The Integrity Commission held a press briefing on Monday because for them,
there are some issues that need to be addressed at this point in time.
But at least one observer was not pleased with how the events turned out. Dr. Kenu Thompson, a senior lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Mona, slammed the commissioners for the way they went about documenting the contract situation concerning the former Contractor General, Dirk Harrison.
They embarrassed themselves, in my view, by the level of personal detail into which they went in relation to the former Contractor General, Dirk Harrison. Much of what they said concerning Harrison should have been left out.
That means for him, no details should have come out about Mr. Harrison's insistence about securing his pension or the discomfort surrounding the rate they want to pay for him to permanently take on the role of Director of Corruption Prosecutions. But not only was he uncomfortable with those details, Dr. Thompson said while the commissioners insist they have no issue with Dirk Harrison, the fact that they didn't provide direct answers when asked if they have confidence in him spoke volumes.
I feel that they have given a strong vote of no confidence in Mr. Harrison. They were asked, I think by one of the media houses, asked whether they have full confidence in him, and their answer was that they have no fight with him. That response was a clear ducking of the question, and the fact that they are unable to categorically assert that they have confidence in him shows that the confidence isn't there. And if I were Dirk Harrison, I would not take that job.
He said it was instructive that Mr. Harrison did not attend the press briefing, and that too said a lot. But those issues apart, Dr. Thompson was also scathing towards the Integrity Commission for what he calls its soft approach to dealing with parliamentarians, including the Prime Minister, who are yet to get clearance for their 2017 integrity filings.
This is a Prime Minister who, when he was announcing this commission, challenged them to make Jamaica the least corrupt place on earth. Here we have a situation where for several months the Prime Minister, the head of government, is unable to get integrity clearance, and the Commission expressed no disappointment, disclosed no plan of action for having the matter addressed, and simply made it appear as though it is simply a procedural failure and they await the compliance of the Prime Minister.
On a Monday, Commissioner Pamela Monroe-Ellis, when asked about the action to be taken, indicated it was lagging because there was no permanent person in the office of Director of Corruption Prosecutions. It's the same position Dirk Harrison is currently acting in.
The issue we have had with that position that would really have impaired any action that we would like to take to the court. And of course, that then further underscores the need to have this matter resolved readily and timely.
But for Mr. Thompson, that statement makes no sense.
A person who is acting has all the authority of a person who holds the substantive post. So I do not think that the absence of a person permanently appointed should be a reason for that shortcoming.
He said what the Integrity Commission has managed to do in its press briefing on Monday is to display to the people of Jamaica that they are not ready to lead Jamaica's anti-corruption agenda. Dashan Hendricks, TVJ News.
And more news now from Parliament. Not good enough. The opposition's view on the government's handling of the water crisis facing the corporate area and sections of St. Andrew and St. Catherine. Dr. Peter Phillips is proposing to put back into service the now disbanded Rapid Response Unit. The Prime Minister's response? No.
A water crisis with no end in sight. Some MPs feeling the pressure as affected citizens press for a sustainable long-term solution.
The Duane Park situation faces a particular crisis because of the pipe conditions in Duane Park that are breaking down and just bursting as soon as you attempt to increase the water pressure. Areas like Waterhouse, where we share a dividing line, have similar kinds of challenges.
There are sections of the corporate area, in fact, that have not had any water flowing through their pipes. Sections of my constituency since December.
In fact, the opposition leader describes the crisis as the worst in recent memory. His remarks came after the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, outlined measures to address the water problems affecting thousands of Jamaicans. Among the plans, the upgrading of the transmission system and the construction of a 15 million gallon water treatment plant on the Rio Cobre. But that's long-term. In the interim, though, there's a promise to truck water to communities most affected at least 3 times weekly. Additionally, the distribution of water tanks. For the opposition leader,
the response to the crisis on the part of the government has been inadequate.
He argues that the emergency response needs to go beyond what the Prime Minister highlighted and had a few suggestions of his own, like the reintroduction of the NWC's Rapid Response Unit.
The failure of the government in sustaining the rapid response capability that used to exist in the Ministry of Water has been a flaw for which we are paying dearly at this point in time.
The Rapid Response Unit was an emergency water distribution facility to provide the resource on a temporary basis to communities affected by water supply problems, severe drought, and other natural disasters. The unit was disbanded in 2009. In the absence of the Rapid Response Unit, Dr. Phillips suggested that the government explore the option of leasing trucks to supply communities with water.
We recognize what happened to the rapid response, and so we are struggling not because if the government even goes and leases trucks, we are back to square one with the government operating a mobile water distribution system. What we would prefer and what we are presently exploring is to have this done by the private sector. So the private sector can lease the trucks and offer the service to the government within the context of an emergency, and we will pay for the service. What we are having now is that there are not many private sector persons who want to get involved in this business.
In his statement on Tuesday, the Prime Minister revealed that it will cost some $160 million to upgrade some water distribution systems in the corporate area. Currently, the water levels in the Mona Reservoir are at 27% and the Hermitage Dam 33%.
Welcome back to Primetime News and a special welcome to viewers on onespotmedia.com. We begin with tragic news as Mother's Day reflections turned into mourning in the section of Clarendon with the fatal shooting of one mother and another mother now in hospital with multiple bullet wounds. As we hear in this report, both women were at a party which ended with gunfire.
A Mother's Day tragedy in Yorktown, Clarendon. In what was supposed to be a celebration, 2 mothers shot several times, one succumbing to her injuries. The dead woman has been identified as 39-year-old Antoinette Bernard of the neighboring community of Content. Her daughter, still shaken by the incident, was too terrified to speak on camera.
On the day of Mother's Day, my mother passed away. Don't feel so good right now. She was loving, caring. She put out her all to us. Always make sure we are all right.
The injured woman sustained 3 bullet wounds and is now at hospital. According to the Clarendon police, the organizers of the dance were warned prior to the shooting by the police to discontinue the party. However, the warnings were reportedly ignored. Deputy Superintendent of Police Paul Bernard, who is the operations officer for the Clarendon Police Division, said the shooting happened about 2 o'clock this morning.
About minutes to 2 a.m. this morning, 12th of May, police received phone call that gunshots were being fired in a section of Yorktown called York Circle. On arrival of the police on the scene, a lady was seen lying in a pool of blood. She was taken to the Jamaica hospital where she was pronounced dead. When the scene was processed, some 18 9mm spent cases were found around the body. And the lady who was in the company of the lady who was pronounced dead at the hospital, this other lady has admitted the 3 gunshot wounds to her right thigh and right hand.
DSP Bernard is of the view that the shooting could have been avoided.
It is to note, though, there's a drink out in process. This lady who was keeping this drink out party did not have a permit to do so. The police and patrol went there minutes after 10 p.m. and warned her for prosecution and turned off the dance. Some minutes after 1, the police went back to that same location and again warned the lady and were persuading the people to disperse, and they refused to disperse from the area. It's very unsafe to ignore these things.
The female organizer of the dance has been taken into custody.